Hi, welcome to Photo Focus. My name is Tom Shue, and I'm here with you today to do another Lightroom tutorial. In the last tutorial, we talked about customizing the interface using identity plates, whether they be text-based or graphical, to customize the interface of Lightroom. We talked about using those identity plates in watermarks. We also talked about using solo mode, to take control of your real estate. If you're working on a laptop, we talked about how to hide and reveal panels, all those kinds of things. Well, in this one, we're going to talk about using shortcuts and some of the shortcuts you can use to speed up your workflow and make it a lot easier when you're starting to learn how to use Lightroom. Okay, first of all, we know that Lightroom is broke up into different modules, such as the library, develop, map, book, slideshow, etc. Each one of those modules has its own set of shortcuts. So if you don't want to go on Google and you want to find what shortcuts are available, the easiest way to do it is to go to the module that you want to know the shortcuts for, in this case with the library, hit Control and then /, and this will bring up the shortcuts. Okay, hopefully they're showing on the screen. I'm not sure if the screen capture software records this or not, but I'm looking at a whole bunch of library shortcuts. Okay, to get rid of them, we're going to hit the Tab key. And say if we want to go into the develop module, we're going to hit the D key, D for develop, and again we're going to hit Control and we're going to hit /, and we're looking at develop shortcuts. Okay, again we'll hit the space bar and get out of there. So going back to the library mode, there's a few ways you can get into the library module. The library module can be accessed by the grid view, by the G as in golf, or the loop view by E as in Edward. Okay, so now we're back in the library module. I want to talk about some of the things I do to straighten up the interface. Now, before I tell you all of the shortcuts, I'm working on a PC, and if you happen to be on a Mac, there's a couple differences. The Alt key on a Windows is an Option key, and the Control key on a Windows is the Command key. So if you hear me say Alt or Control, please reference this part of the video so that you'll know what key I'm talking about, so I don't have to keep repeating myself. It's pretty easy to figure out. So if we wanted to get rid of these side panels, there's a couple ways to do it. I find the easiest way to do it is to hit the Tab key. So I hit Tab and it opens and closes them. Now if I want to get rid of the top and bottom of these, they fold back by clicking this, but if I just want to get rid of those altogether along with the sides, if I hit Shift and Tab, it makes them all go away. So that frees up the real estate really quick. Okay, another way to do it is if you hit Shift Tab again, everything will come back, is to do lights out. Say I just want to look at something without all of the clutter. So if you hit lights twice, the L as in lights, it will come right back, but we're going to hit it one time and that's going to dim the lights. If we hit it again, it's going to be black. Okay, the third time will bring us right back. So that's good for doing cropping and checking composition without your eye getting distracted by what's on the screen. Okay, so we've talked about the grid and the loop view, G for grid and E for loop. Okay, and we talked about the D for develop. Okay, but if you're back in the library mode, there's a tool that I use a lot, and that's called the filter. And the filter is a set of searches through metadata or text-based. And to get that, if you click the / in the library module, it will drop down a box called the filter, the library filter. Okay, so it'll let you search by ISOs, apertures, and you can set what shows up in this. You can search by focal length, you can search by bodies, and depending on the catalog that you're searching, you can find a whole bunch of stuff. You can search by text, pick up flowers, for example, if I wanted to find flowers. We won't go into that. I just wanted to let you know, because these shortcut keys, they have dual purposes. For example, that / key happens to be the library filter in the library, but if we go into the develop module by hitting the D key, okay, and we hit that same key, it's going to give us a before and after view. Okay, and there's a few ways to get to before and after. So before we go to before and after, let's make an adjustment, and I'll tell you how you can undo and change adjustments. So let's move this exposure over, and let's drag the contrast up some, and let's drop the highlights down, and let's bring our shadow detail down a little bit. Okay, just mess with this just a hair, and let's change our white balance. Okay, so if we click on this screen, okay, so now we've changed our white balance. Alright, so if we click that backslash key, you're going to see that it's going to show us a before rendering. Okay, so that key is a dual function key. In the library it does one thing, in the develop module it does another. However, if you want to see some different options for before and after, if you touch the Y key, Y as in Yankee, you'll see before and after side by side. Okay, if you hit the Shift Y, it will show you a split version of before and after. So we'll hit that again and get out of there. Y, and we're back out. So we went in and we did some changes here on the tone. Okay, so if you wanted to fix what you've changed in the adjustment and you want to bring it back to standard, you can come in and click the exposure, double click it, and it will center it. It will zero it out. If you hit Control Z, that will undo anything that you do, and it will keep going back as many states as you have set in the preferences. Now, if I wanted to change everything back to the way it was in this whole module from here to here, if I hold down the Alt key, okay, and again, the Alt key is the Option key in Mac, and I said I wasn't going to say that, but I did. So you hold down the Alt key, watch what happens to tone. Alt, reset tone. So it's going to take everything in this particular box, not anything else, and reset it. So I clicked it, and it's reset to where we were when we first started. It didn't change our white balance. So if we go to our white balance and you hold the Alt key, you see that doesn't work. You have to actually go into the drop down and as shot, auto, or custom. This isn't a raw file. This is a JPEG. It's actually a file that I just used for testing for this video. Okay, so let's continue on. Let's go to the crop tool, but before that, let's find a different image. Okay, you'll notice if you go to grid view, it's always going to be in the library module, and say we want to crop this image. Okay, so we select it, we go into the develop module, and the crop tool is pretty simple to get a hold of. You hit the R key, R as in Romeo, and that will bring up the crop tool. You'll notice that in the crop tool there's a lock and there's an angle, and there's a couple things that you can do with the crop tool. It's actually pretty powerful. One of the things is to set up composition is how these marks look on the screen. If you hit the O key, that will give you overlay. Okay, so that changed to like a golden ratio, I believe that's called. And then there's different ones that I don't use, diagonal or triangles, or this one's like a golden ratio, spiral or something like that. Well, if you hit the Shift key, okay, this will change the orientation. Shift O, that will change the orientation of the overlay. Okay, so that's the grid, and this is the one I use most of the time, which is the rule of thirds. Okay, so now if we want to crop this, we can drag it down, and if you notice, if I try to drag it anyway, it constrains the ratio. That means the length and the width are locked out. If you hit the A as an Apple key, that will unlock the constraining. So now I can crop it however I want it to be. So if I want to make a banner or something like that, it need to be skinny, so, you know, some odd shape. Okay, so I hit the A key again, it locks it out, so now I'm constrained. Okay, also if I wanted to change, say if my image wasn't straight, if I hit the control key, and that is the command key on the Mac, it'll give me a ruler, and I can drag a line and it will crop based on that line. Okay, so you can straighten images and do whatever you want with that, and that's the angle tool is what it is. And say you've messed it all up and you don't like it, instead of having to go through all of the effort to try to get rid of it, if you hit Control Shift R, Control Shift R, that will reset your crop back to the original, which is the same as coming over here and clicking it. It's Command Shift R. Okay, some of the last ones that I do, if we get out of the crop tool, we're going to hit R. Some of the last shortcuts I use are like the adjustment brush and graduated filter and spot removal. So if you hit the K, it will bring up the adjustment brush, so we can come in and change, say, the clarity. If I wanted to add some clarity to this image and this hair and stuff like that. Okay, So now it's starting to pop off. It looks three-dimensional. Okay. If I wanted to change and use the graduated filter, okay, I'm going to hit the M key. M is in Mike. Okay, so that highlights that graduated filter. And say if I wanted to come up here and just change the saturation of that green, for example, I can desaturate it or I can saturate it more, however I like. Okay. To get rid of that, I'm going to hit the M key again. And say if I wanted to get rid of, say, like this mole on his face, you can hit the zoom key or Z, okay, and that will bring up this image close so I can work on it. Okay, so now that I'm zoomed in with the Z key, I can hit the Q for the spot removal tool, and I'll just select this mole, and it's going to give it to me however I want. It's kind of based on the image. Sometimes it chooses good, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, looks like this is going to blend in right about there. That looks good. So we're going to just hit enter there. Okay, and then to get out of it, we're going to hit the Q, and then I can hit the space bar and we can come back. Obviously that didn't work so well on the spot removal tool. Let's try that again just for giggles. So we're going to hit Control Z. We're going to back up, back up, back up, back up, back up, back up. Okay, I'm going to go back into that spot removal tool, and I'll select it again. And this time I'll just let it go at default, and it looks a lot better. Okay, so we'll hit the zoom key, and we need to reset our crop. So we're going to hit R, and Control Shift R will reset the crop. And we're going to get out of here. R, and we're gone. So thanks for coming to Photo Focus and looking at this tutorial. And we'll see you next time with some more tips and tricks with Lightroom. Thank you.